Donald Trump had a moment during his campaign rally today that even MAGA Republicans are now saying, is this the man we really voted for? What is happening here? What is he doing? Well, you just need to watch this for yourself.
And she gets over the weights, and she stands, and then she gets him, and she gets him. And the mother's screaming, darling, I love you, darling. And the father's looking, saying she has no chance. And she's like this, you see it? Drops him. And she's like devastated for the rest of her life. And then a guy comes along who transitioned.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the man who currently is in charge of our nuclear codes. Now, a lot of people are saying, what is he doing? What are these weird sounds? Even Republicans are saying, what is happening to our president that we voted for? And well, the truth is, he's getting older. He's getting older, and it's happening in real time. We're seeing it in real time. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. As always, spread the word, follow along for all the news you need to know about. There'll be more to come soon.
So Donald Trump was just handed another giant L from the Congress. Remember how the House of Representatives had several Republicans recently who sided with Democrats in limiting Donald Trump's war powers against Iran? Well, the Senate now just had the same thing happen. Rand Paul, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Bill Cassidy joined the Democrats in voting for the resolution, while of course John useless fucking asshole Fetterman decided to vote against it. Remember, I said a while ago that after Donald Trump primaried Bill Cassidy and Thomas Massie, they were going to go scorched earth, and now Bill Cassidy's like, fuck you, Trump, yes, I'm going to vote against you. Of course, it probably didn't help that two Republicans, including Mitch McConnell, were not there to vote. Mitch McConnell, if you remember, went into the hospital over a week ago, and we've heard absolutely nothing about him. Many people have theorized that he is already no longer with us. But now, after Republicans and Democrats joined together to put this through Congress, it's now going to Trump's desk. He is of course going to veto it because it says that he can't take any more action against Iran without congressional approval. So now he's stuck, because if he signs it, he has to pull out of his stupid war and he's seen as a massive loser. If he vetoes it, it's just further evidence that he's a power-hungry asshole. Both situations are true. But this is just another example of MAGA infighting and how Donald Trump can't get anything that he wants passed because he's a useless piece of shit.
After Donald Trump fired Tulsi Gabbard, who was the chief of national intelligence, he decided he'd pick somebody who succeed her. That was Bill Pulte. Unfortunately, Bill Pulte had no experience. He's a fucking goof at best. And people started to push back. They pushed back so hard, in fact, Donald Trump said, well, he's only going to be there a little while. We're going to get somebody real in there. He's just the interim guy. Even still, people are upset about it. This is national security. We have a country at risk with a war in Iran, pissing off every other country in the world, all the issues in this country. You want to put literally a clown in front of national intelligence. But he said, well, he's going to be an interim. He won't be there long. He won't be able to do much. Well, today, Bill Pulte is doing Donald Trump's bidding. And what he's doing is doing a wholesale firing of a bunch of people from the DNI, the Department of National Intelligence. Now, we've seen this before, right? Elon Musk and some other people firing hundreds, thousands of people just for the fuck of it. And that's what's happening right now. That is exactly what's happening right now. The only problem with it is we have limited national security at this point. And you start firing all these career folks out of national intelligence, the risk becomes higher. But apparently Donald Trump doesn't care. Apparently Bill Pulte doesn't care. And now Republicans are even mad and a little nervous about what the fuck is going on.
Fraud. Fraud is the new Republican word. Yes, they're going to run in the midterms on all of this fraud. I mean, there is just fraud everywhere. They seem to forget they've been in charge for a year and a half. So if there's fraud, you guys have been kind of in charge for the last year and a half. So, and how much fraud are we talking about? Because the real fraud was starting a war with Iran and spending tens of billions of dollars to just get the same thing Obama already had. So where's all this fraud? And why are Republicans suddenly so worried about fraud when spending is completely out of control. Our tax receipts, yeah, we're going to make this much this year and we're going to spend this much. We're going to spend $2 trillion more than we take in. So, what's the real fraud? Because to me, it seems like spending and just spending like crazy on wars and all kinds of silly stuff, that's the real fraud, not the fraud Republicans are making up. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like and follow for more.
Kinda crazy how they've arrested more people over the reflecting pool than the Epstein files.
I was just told by the people over at Parks, they have 5 people are arrested and 5 people are under investigation right now.
Part of the reason they have increased security around the reflecting pool and the National Guard has been deputized to protect it is because Donald Trump keeps claiming there are vandals.
National Guard and police have been all over the mall. How would these vandals have gotten so close to do something like that? Do you have any proof of this?
I mean, we didn't have a lot of them then. Who would think that somebody would go into a pool and take a knife and start cutting it?
It almost does seem implausible that someone would be able to cut a football field length gash in the National Reflecting Pool without anybody noticing.
It's not a lot of damage, but we'll probably have to let the water out and refix it.
I disagree that it's necessary to drain all the water from the reflecting pool. That seems like a waste. Just consider giving all of the hydrogen peroxide to one specific algae and then letting it trickle down to the rest.
Is Trump getting special access to medication to keep him alive? Well, according to this report, he might be. A report from Stat News is saying that an individual about 79 years old, male, with connections to the White House, was granted compassionate use to use a new fat loss drug, which is not yet approved from Eli Lilly. Now, who do we know who was recently 79 years old, is obese, and possibly has, obstructive sleep apnea, pulmonary hypertension, and has also recently bought stock in Eli Lilly? Oh! Donald Trump. I don't know if you know this, but in order to get compassionate use approval for a medication that isn't approved by the FDA, you have to have serious and immediate life-threatening health conditions, which, if you're the president of the United States, is not a good thing to have made public, which is why the White House has come out denying that Donald Trump has received any experimental medication, let alone a fat loss drug. And Eli Lilly is also saying that they don't disclose patient information, which, by the way, they should not. I also find it very interesting that it's Eli Lilly, which we know Donald Trump recently bought stock in through the end of March, and they have specifically partnered with the Trump administration on their pricing structures. You know, Trump's prescription drug plan. But again, what the actual hell?
We had vandalism. Vandals. You know, we have I think 290, 300 foot slit.
We didn't have vandalism. We have a president who's trying to promote a conspiracy theory, doesn't believe in reality, and is out of his mind. There are cameras all over that reflecting pool. If anyone had gone into that pool in the middle of the night, or people gone into that pool in the middle of the night and cut the bottom of the pool, it'd be on tape in multiple angles, and Trump would be broadcasting that tape all over the media. There is no tape. Trump is lying. We're living in this frustrating age of unreality because of Donald Trump. No, there were no vandals in that pool. No, the election of 2020 was not rigged. No, January 6th was not instigated by the FBI. And no, Donald Trump is not 6'3" and 238 pounds. He's about 6'1", pushing 300, and is not at all healthy. The only major hoaxes and conspiracy theories effectively being promoted in the United States are the lies that are being told by Donald Trump. And we need to get back to reality. How do we do that? The only way we get a chance of getting back to reality is by getting the chief perpetrator of unreality out of the White House, Donald Trump. I am sick, just sick of these nonstop conspiracy theories, lies, and hoaxes. We have 2.5 years to get that SOB out of politics for good. I hope you're with me.
Hey everybody. I just spent the last 3 days deep down a rabbit hole of rules and regulations for federal prisons. Why? because I wanted to show you all the rules that have been broken to protect Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's partner in crime. And I wanted to show you all the lies that have been told about it by Todd Blanche. Blanche could become our next Attorney General within weeks, so I consider this a matter of the utmost importance. I really couldn't even sleep until I finished this project. It's finally done, and it's up on my Substack with all the receipts. There is absolutely no question that Blanche cut a corrupt deal with Maxwell to protect Donald Trump. He sold out Epstein's victims, and he lied to cover it up. He did all of this by abusing his powers as Deputy Attorney General. He's still doing it as Acting Attorney General, and now he wants the Senate to confirm him to lead the Justice Department on a permanent basis. I know quite a bit about how the prison system works for regular people from my 10 years working as a federal public defender and my work as DOJ pardon attorney. Maxwell is getting special privileges that are not available to anyone else. For example, she is the only known sex offender from over 20,000 currently in federal prison who is serving her sentence in a minimum security camp. It is actually illegal to give preferential treatment to wealthy and well-connected prisoners under federal law. People like me who have a legal background have a duty to step up and call BS on the lies that are coming out of this administration. I consider it my moral and ethical duty, but I need your help spreading the word. I want to ask you to read my Substack post and then send it to your senators. They are going to vote on Blanche's nomination possibly as soon as next month. They need to have all the facts, and they need to ask Blanche about the facts at his confirmation hearing. You can find the post by going to lawyeroyer.com, or you can find it on Substack. I'll also share the link in my bio. Thanks.
The Senate today approved the House's version of the War Powers Act that forces Donald Trump to end the war in Iran. This exercise shows you how unconstitutional the law is that Donald Trump used to go to war with Iran, and historians will see it the same way. We are now in a situation where if Congress votes to stop a war and the president vetoes it, you now need 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate to stop a war. This is in direct contradiction to the Constitution of the United States. Passing a law with a simple majority and having a president stupid enough to sign this law does not mean that you can supersede the Constitution. 2/3 of all states have to ratify a change, an amendment to the Constitution to make it law. The Constitution says the power to declare war lies with Congress, and the president must ask for permission. And the situation the United States of America finds itself in now is that we need 2/3 of both chambers to stop a war. Donald Trump and elected Republicans that have assisted him through this ordeal have openly and blatantly violated the Constitution of the United States. This is one of the reasons why we see people like Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene leaving the Republican Party. They have abandoned our constitutional republic. They are currently prioritizing arrests over people who touched the reflecting pool than the Epstein files. The purpose of government is to protect you and to serve you. And right now, the government is not doing that. The leaders of our government are protecting and serving their own interests. I believe we are in a constitutional crisis right now. Or maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments down below. Until next time, guys, drop a follow on TikTok, drop a follow on Instagram. Support my work with $5 a month on Instagram to subscribe, or with the Venmo in my bio. Love you guys. Talk to you later.
Breaking news, the United States Senate just smacked Donald Trump in the face along with the House of Representatives. You won't believe it. Breaking news, the United States Senate just passed a resolution to go along with the House resolution to limit Donald Trump's War Powers Act in Iran. What? Yes, the Senate just voted 50-48 to limit Donald Trump's war powers in Iran. This is a rare rebuke, but again, the Senate is standing up to Donald Trump more and more, and there are 4 Republicans that joined in with the Democrats to get the vote to 50. Needless to say, John Fetterman voted with the Republicans. Pennsylvania, y'all need to handle this. The resolution now joins a House resolution that was passed back in June to again limit Donald Trump's war powers. It basically directs Donald Trump to remove military forces from the war area in Iran. This also sends a strong message to Donald Trump. His war has not been approved and he needs Congress to do it. This resolution, in conjunction with the House resolution, is known as a concurrent resolution. Therefore, it does not need Trump's signature, and Trump cannot veto it. What? Trump can't veto it? No, Trump can't veto this resolution. They basically ordered, both the House and the Senate now have ordered Donald Trump that he needs to withdraw from Iran without their approval. Huge slap in the face to Donald Trump. And the Republicans, along with Democrats, both in the House and in the Senate, said this. The Republicans in the Senate that said they need to get the hell out of Iran without their permission was Rand Paul of Kentucky, Susan Collins of Maine, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, and Bill Cassidy of Louisiana. Remember Donald Trump? You opposed Bill Cassidy? Coming back to bite you now. And then John Fetterman of Pennsylvania voted with the Republicans. As I said, Pennsylvania, you need to handle Fetterman. He's not up for election until 2028. Probably going to flip to the Republicans when the Democrats take the House and the Senate this fall. We'll see. But there you have it. The House and the Senate both have passed resolutions basically telling Donald Trump he needs their permission to be in Iran and he needs to get out otherwise. Let me know what you think.
The House and the Senate have now officially passed the same war powers resolution to rein in President Trump and stop him from restarting any kind of military action in Iran. Just a short time ago, the Senate passed the resolution with a final vote of 50-48, with 2 senators not present and not voting. 4 Republicans joined Democrats and independents to vote yes. Those Republicans were Senators Collins of Maine, Cassidy of Louisiana, Murkowski of Alaska, and Paul of Kentucky. 1 Democrat joined all the Republicans and voted no. That was Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania. Now, the reason why this was able to pass in the Senate today is because Senators Mitch McConnell of Kentucky and Dave McCormick of Pennsylvania were absent. That changed the math. McConnell was absent because he's been in the hospital, and McCormick was absent because he's campaigning with President Trump in Pennsylvania today. Now, as I reported in this video a few weeks ago, the House passed this exact same war powers resolution with a final vote of 215 to 208. Same deal as the Senate. 4 Republicans joined all the Democrats to get that done, and it was able to pass again in the House because of several Republican absences, which changed the math. So now what? Well, that's really the question here. I'm going to answer it in 3 different ways: in the legal terms, in the practical terms, and in the political terms. So according to the War Powers Act of 1973, if Congress passes a war powers resolution, which they just did today, that means the president must either immediately withdraw American troops from hostilities outlined in the resolution, or he must get approval from Congress to continue with whatever military action those troops are involved in. Legally, President Trump, like every president before him, believes the War Powers Act violates his own constitutional power as commander-in-chief. Trump has said publicly that Congress cannot stop him with this law when it comes to Iran. And like I said, it's not just a Trump thing. All presidents have said something similar. But last time we saw something similar to this was during the Obama administration in 2011, when the United States, along with our NATO partners, were involved in a military operation in Libya. Congress was not happy because they said President Obama did not get authorization for that military action. Obama said he didn't have to because it did not qualify as hostilities, which sounds very similar to what President Trump and his administration have been saying about Iran. Now, technically, Congress did not pass a war powers resolution against Obama back in 2011, but they did pass several other measures to politically rebuke him for doing it, and Republicans did sue Obama to stop the military action. That didn't go anywhere. But now that Congress has actually passed a war powers resolution against Trump, specifically in Iran, it'll be interesting to see what happens next, because the Supreme Court has never actually weighed in on this constitutional issue. Who has the power here? Is it Congress or the president? Now, in practical terms, this resolution may be too little too late. And that's because, according to President Trump, the war with Iran is now technically over. And now we're just in this 60-day window of negotiation. So technically, the U.S. military is not engaged in any hostilities. though some would argue that what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz may qualify as hostilities. Now, if the 60 days runs out and there's no final deal with Iran, or for some reason Trump decides to restart strikes against Iran, then this resolution may be a problem for him. But politically, today's passage of this Iran War Powers resolution to rein in Trump's power is a powerful rebuke of the president and what he's been doing in Iran. And even though it was only a total of 8 Republicans who voted against him, this resolution was still able to pass in the Republican-controlled House and Senate, which is a big deal, especially with this particular Republican Congress, which usually goes along with whatever President Trump wants. But it does make sense politically for this to happen because polling shows this Iran war is very unpopular with voters. And most of these Republicans who voted yes to rein in Trump's power today have a contested midterm election and angry voters to deal with. So if you want to see how your House or Senate lawmaker voted on this War Powers resolution, I'm going to email both vote totals out to you tonight in my Facts HQ email, which of course is free, so make sure you sign yourself up.
Call me the commander in chief. It's time to talk about Donald Trump's L's for the week so far. It's only Tuesday. You thought covering the Kennedy Center with the tarp would stop people from taking pictures of having your name removed. It did not. Anyway, here's the Kennedy Center with your name removed. Obviously, the letters have damaged the marble, just like your idiot contractor friends damaged the reflecting pool. You got J.D. Vance out here tap dancing about how the deal with Iran is done. It's super not. Strait's closed again. And the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve has hit the lowest point since 1983. That's before I was born, a thing I do not get to say that often anymore. And it doesn't matter anyway, even if the Strait opened today and stayed open, oil prices are not coming down. You keep suing states that won't give you access to their voter rolls, and you just keep losing. Maryland is the next in line. That makes you 9 losses, 0 wins, as every federal judge on earth is like, ew. But that's okay, right? You get to use your immigration database to build a citizenship list and purge people off of state voter rolls, right? Right? No! But that's okay, because you get to subpoena Tim Walz and a bunch of other Democrats in Minnesota over made-up shit, right? No! Ew, 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 no. At this point, I feel like the federal judiciary is just a puppy owner with a rolled-up newspaper. No! Stop it! Woo. So Pete Hegseth is in a cult, and now we learned that Tulsi was in a cult. I mean, learn. We all knew this. Turns out all of her policy directives came from her cult leader, and not you, which I guess explains why she's out now. Instructions from her cult leader included figure out how to fracture Democrats, a thing a bunch of us were saying from the beginning about her. Look, I'm being proven right about Taylor Lorenz and Tulsi Gabbard, both in 1 week, and it's only Tuesday. So Pete is also in a cult, and I'm wondering if maybe we should check the instructions he's getting from his pastor. Because it looks to me like what he's setting out to do is destroy the American military. He refuses to promote people with any sort of experience, and now he's purposefully sickening the entirety of the Air Force. Last week, these flu cases were in the hundreds. Now they're in the 200s. Where have we seen this sort of exponential disease spread before? Anyway, Senate Republicans are having a sit-down with Donald Trump to tell him he needs to shut up about the SAVE Act. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Federal judge has tossed out Republican states' restrictions on SNAP benefits. Buy the food you want. Nobody cares. That's okay. We can sue LA over their sanctuary policy. No! No, you can't. That's okay. We can subpoena some journalists. No! Subpoenas withdrawn. No. That's okay. We can defeat wind energy. No! You've abandoned enforcement of your executive order about wind energy because the states just kept doing it anyway. Even Tucker Carlson is like, this is stupid. I need to distance myself from what's happening here. Suck my dick, Tucker. It's okay, babe. You still have Stephen Miller, who I'm sure is super fun and great company all the time.